My name is Catherine Large Wetstein, and I am here tonight representing three men. My great-grandfather, George Hall Large, my great-uncle, George Knowles Large, and my dad, Edwin K. Large, Jr. And it's a great pleasure for me to be here to talk to you a little bit about these men and what they did for Hunterdon County. The family actually first came to Hunterdon in the mid-1600s. They were Quakers from England. And I am pleased to say that my ancestor Stephen Large was one of the two people who went way down to Burlington in 16-something. This was a trip that took several weeks to get permission from the head Quaker ruling people there to start the meeting that still exists up in Quakertown. From that time on, there have been Larges sort of scattered like the dew across Hunterdon County, from Quakertown to White House and ultimately to Flemington. Like all the other families that have been here that long, they were farmers. And after being farmers for many years, they started adding some entrepreneurial aspects to what they did. The father of George Hall Large, for example, worked with Mr. Taylor, in High Bridge in the first version of what became Taylor Horton Steel. So the family has been farmers and businessmen in Hunterdon County for 300 or so years. I think all three of these men were inspired by sort of a bundle of things, the way all of us are. In the background was the Quaker commitment to the community and the Quaker idea that you should be grateful for what you have, share the talents you have, and advance the community you live in. There was also an entrepreneurial spirit in all of them. If something had not been done before but seemed like a good idea, you went out and did it in order to make it happen. I think finally there was a major commitment to quality, both ethical and in terms of doing your very best professionally. Each of these guys spent a good part of his career doing pro bono work and doing work that they hoped would advance the cause of good legal practice in Hunterdon County. They were all attorneys, and that also would advance quality of life in general for Flemington and for the county. All right, let's think a minute about how these three gentlemen would feel about being nominated for induction in the first class of the Hunterdon County Chamber of Commerce Foundation Business Hall of Fame. First, I think they would be proud of me for not muffing that name. That's a lot to remember. Second, I think on one hand, they would be embarrassed by it to the extent that none of them wanted to put his name or himself first in what they did. Much of what they did anonymously or behind the scenes. Uncle George, who founded the Large Foundation, had to be pushed very hard to put the name on the foundation. One reason for that, he and my father always said, if you want to make sure nothing is ever named after you, have a name like Large. That's a guarantee that it's not a very nameable, usable name. But secondly, they felt that the work should represent them. On the other hand, I think they would all be tremendously proud of the Chamber of Commerce and what it's doing. I know they would be absolutely delighted that the Chamber has moved into the large property at 117 and 119 Main Street. And that is because most of what they did represented the same values and the same goals that the chamber has. So I think they would feel that being part of this wonderful new effort for the chamber is something they would really like to do, because the chamber and the effort ipso facto are going to advance some of the things they worked so hard for in Hunterdon County.